Gloria Strode, and welcome to Straightforward. Today, I have the pleasure of visiting with my amazing friend and mentor, State Senator Ed Harbison. Welcome, Senator.
I am glad to be here. Good to see you, Gloria. You're looking great.
Well, you are too. I tell you, you have served with dignity, always, very humbly. You've tried to train me in all areas. You trained me well in radio and TV, and I'm still working on that other part you want me to work on. That big heart of forgiveness and just moving on. And you're right. Forgiveness is one thing, but access, regaining access is different.
That's right.
And so that's the thing about me. It's like, okay, I can forgive people, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee them access to me again. But I'm practicing on being more like you, very humble in your walk. And of course, I know you learned that from your amazing mother, Mrs. Rebecca, who was a God-fearing woman, believed the Lord, and did all of her work, you know, for 90-something years until she moved from work to reward. Just an amazing mother. So, Senator, we've had so much going on in the state. You all have done a lot of work at the state level this year. There are some changes. There are some possible changes on the horizons. I just wanted you to come in and share. Of course, we know you're on the front line for veterans every day because you're an old Marine. So you're going to always look out for the soldiers. But what are some of the things that happen during this session?
Well, one of the things that I'm really proud of was that we focused on a couple of bills, especially dealing with expansion of the tags that you can get for your cars for veterans. I don't have the list of them, but it's like, before it was like the Purple Heart, the Silver Star, and all that kind of thing. But it expanded tremendously now, even to the Infantryman's Badge and that kind of thing. So there's a list that you go online right now, you look at it, there's at least 10 more medals that will recognize you to receive that free one tag. You can get one tag free if you're a veteran, but you got to have your DD-214. That's exactly right.
Because I always like to explain to people because what they'll do is say, well, I went and I tried to get one and they didn't give it to me. And we know this from your long time radio show and TV show, Magic Talk and the Public Agenda. They didn't follow the process. So you may try and apply for one of those, but you must have your DD-214.
Absolutely.
That's a requirement.
That's right. And in addition to that, there's a provision now whereby you have a wife or spouse, whatever the case may be, for burial in the Georgia cemetery, things like that. The husband and the wife can be buried together. Even if the wife or the husband is interred somewhere else, they can be moved together, be put together.
Really?
Yes, right now. So that's a good move. And the idea behind it is to make sure that we have open arms, we welcome all of our veterans who are coming into our state, to make sure they understand we put a very high value on the veterans who come into the state of Georgia.
Well, it's important to know that because, you know, we are a former military couple.
That's right.
And some people have even family members. One person's buried at the main gate at Fort Benning. The other person's buried down at Fort Mitchell. So what you're saying now is there is this opportunity for the husband and wife to be together
in those cemeteries for Georgia.
In Georgia. Oh, okay. Now that's useful information. Because sometimes when people are making those arrangements, they're under stress. And they don't know. So it's better if we can tell them in advance. Then there are other benefits that you can get. If you're a veteran, I think they'll buy you a headstone and some other things like that. So they can go online and look that up ahead of time.
That's right.
Don't wait until you have to make those final arrangements, because at least if it's whatever that amount is, $250 or whatever, that means that's $250 less. And if you have a burial spot, that's even
That's right.
Another savings.
That's exactly
Because
right.
funerals cost a lot of money.
Oh, yes.
I know you've had to do many.
Oh, Lord, yes.
Yeah, over the years. And so if people have never done that, they don't understand. That's a very
right.
costly end-of-life thing.
But it is always it is down. Then you get to the non-veteran type stuff. It is always about the budget, and who gets what, when, and where. And the big thing this year was dealing with taxes, property taxes, and income taxes. And we fought that battle. And the big struggle this year, to put it this way, that was this effort to do away with income tax. But the trauma is that if you do away with income tax from some quarters,
right,
that you don't have the money to pay for roads, teachers,
the state infrastructure,
that's exactly
and then
right.
the other services.
The other services.
Okay.
And you try to balance that, and it's a good idea to not. I would like not have income tax or property taxes for that matter, but you have to do that incrementally in order to be a hedge against inflation or something, or downturn in the economy.
Right.
So that's what we look at.
So we
right.
can make sure that we maintain all the services and all of the other roads and the bridges that go along with day-to-day living.
Right.
Right. Okay. And so for Muskogee County, I tell you, you're always everywhere. Besides this county where you work and live.
That's right.
In the 15th Senatorial District, there are other counties.
Yes, 7.
7, and they are not urban.
That's right.
They are rural counties.
That's right.
And that's what? Talbot?
Macon, Marion, Taylor, Talbot, Schley, and
Chattahoochee.
Chattahoochee, right.
And so people don't know what Schley is. Someone asked me, where is Schley County? No, really.
Out 26.
Out 26.
That's right.
And then we're talking about Macon County, not Bibb, Macon.
That's right.
I had a big conversation with somebody about that. They said, well, the senator has Macon. I said, no, he has Macon County.
That's right.
And that is what? Montezuma,
Georgia.
And that's like going toward Perry, Georgia.
That's exactly right.
So there's a difference between Macon, Bibb County, Georgia, the city.
And Talbotton and Talbot County.
Yeah. So there's Talbotton, the city, and then Talbot County, the county.
That's right. That's
right. And then we have Chattahoochee County, which is Casita.
That's right.
Some people don't know that part of Fort Benning is in Chattahoochee County.
Absolutely.
The reason I know that is because I lived there, I got married at the chapel there, and I had my baby there. So the Martin Army Hospital, where my child was born, when we need a copy of his birth certificate, we have to go to Chattahoochee County. Right, which is Casita, Georgia.
That's right.
Okay, so we just want to make sure that people understand the geography, because sometimes when folks are passing information along, they're passing information that's incorrect.
And it's 60 miles from here. The longest one, that's Montezuma, 60 miles from here. So
one way.
One way.
And so in addition to all the work you're doing here in Muskogee County, you still have to go 60 miles one way to the events and things that they're hosting.
Right. NAACP or other organizations, they want you down there for
the River Valley Regional Commission.
The festival they have in what is that, Taylor County.
Right, the strawberry people and all of that's going on. So you're working hard for us in Muskogee, but it's all those other counties as well. So what we're going to do is go to our first break to our sponsors, and we'll be right back. We'll be right back after word from some of our sponsors. Straightforward is brought to you by State Senator Ed Harbison, serving the citizens of Georgia's 15th Senatorial District and on the front lines for veterans every day. Progressive Funeral Home, family owned and operated since 1952. The George Ford legacy of high standards continues today in the compassionate and professional services provided. A touch of dignity for those who care. Progressive Funeral Home, 4235 St. Mary's Road, trusted by generations. Whole Patient Healthcare. Dr. Jada Rimes-Bacote is board certified in family medicine. She believes the best patient care includes practical, individualized lifestyle changes. Located at 1338 13th Avenue, Columbus, 706-641-2080, or visit wholepatienthealthcare.com.
The state of Georgia averages 5 fatalities a day for motor vehicle crashes. Out of all 50 states, Georgia ranks 21st in impaired driving fatalities. Remember, buzz driving is impaired driving.
Be a team player, designated sober driver.
Hi, I'm Sheriff Greg Countryman. Make the right choice. The ball is in your hands. Stay sober and don't get pulled over.
And welcome back to Straightforward. As always, I'm enjoying this great visit with my amazing friend and mentor, State Senator Ed Harbison. Senator, you do a lot of work. I was sharing with the young lady, our receptionist here in the building at NBC 38. A lot of people might not know this because they're new to the area or they're younger people. We're more mature. That you were the first African American news anchor in this building right here at NBC 38.
That's right.
And you had your big afro and your nice suits. So for the people that's never heard that story, I like to share that because you are a casting legend.
Yeah.
And you've been honored by the Georgia State
Georgia Association of Broadcasters.
Hall of Fame.
Right.
You're in that. For many years, you have hosted for Black Music Month.
That's right.
The Radio Legends, and we talked about that because you were a radio personality,
That's right.
broadcasting professional, went to broadcasting school among all of your
That's right.
other many accolades besides being the Marine with the multiple tours to Vietnam. But you were saying that a lot of times the people in that industry were never recognized.
That's right. That's right.
And you, for many years, you did one at the Capitol, and
That's
then
right.
we had several here in Columbus
That's
where
right.
you wanted to point them out. And we see in the national news where people in broadcasting, boy, they really taking some hits now.
Oh, they are taking some hits.
And so it's very different
That's
from
right.
when you
That's
first
right.
started.
That's right. And I'm not in the industry anymore, but I talk to some of the anchors and stuff. It's very different. Even the anchoring in this setup right here, you had a person running the teleprompter machine.
Right.
You had a cameraman here and one there. But now they say there's nobody in there but the anchor, and they're doing
Right.
all of the
They're
mechanical things.
multitasking.
They're multitasking.
Yeah,
doing
you'll
that.
see them
I said,
with the mouse and everything.
What is that? You know,
Yeah.
what is that? But just, different time, different things go on. But the bottom line is, I think broadcasters, they pay their dues. And if it were in the way we did it back in the 60s and 70s, even the 50s, for those people who were there at that time, you had to get out with the community. You had to be
Yes.
out there, get involved in the community, late at night, away from your families and
Yeah.
things like that. It's not easy.
Right.
So they should be recognized. And besides that familiar voice, that
Right.
familiar face,
Trusted.
it's beautiful.
It is.
It's beautiful.
It is.
They get to know, well, I know Ed. Well, I know Teresa. Well, I know Gloria.
Right.
It's just a wonderful thing. They know that I can hear that voice. They're going to tell me about the weather in the mornings and that kind of thing.
And they're going to report what the news is.
That's exactly
And
right.
so now we're living in this microwave news world.
Oh, wow.
And that was why in our first segment I wanted to share
That's right.
with our viewers and supporters what areas you serve.
Right.
Because sometimes in the microwave news industry, people are reporting things they have not fact checked.
That's right.
They're just repeating something somebody else said because what? They want to get it out sooner.
That's
They want to
right.
be the
That's right.
first.
That's right.
But it's not necessarily accurate.
That's right.
And of course, we had Walter Cronkite and all those people
Oh.
back in Peter Jennings. and-
Uncle Walter's gone, and that era's gone.
Yeah, and they were very serious
That's right.
about what they reported and how they reported.
That's right.
And so you were a part of that generation, and I just want to thank you for the way you trained me up. It's like with your regular children. Just because you trained us good don't mean we're going to always make good choices. But I always try my best when it's involving you.
Well, I have
really
faith
do.
that, they're going to do right, and eventually they'll find the right path. And if you're going around the wrong way, God allows us to turn around. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
it's never too
it's a
late.
good- that's
We
right.
can always
That's
turn
right.
around.
That's right.
Yeah, but it's important that what we do it with integrity.
That's right.
And
That's
excellence.
important. Right.
Yeah, that's the nature. Even with your community affairs TV show, which was produced here,
Right.
The Public Agenda, it was quality community information.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
It wasn't to tear down, it was to build
That's
up.
right. That's right.
And then even with Magic Talk at Clear Channel Radio,
You making me
Magic
remember
Talk,
all that stuff.
heart to heart, all of that. People could call in, they could voice their opinions, they could ask questions, but again, it was done in a respectful way.
Yes, yes, of course.
And I think we've lost some of that in the microwave society.
Well, I think unfortunately we are so polarized now. We often these silos of opinions and colorism and all these things that you get involved in, and we forget that the great moderator, the great medium of judgment, the standard of measurement is God. You know,
Right.
if you don't understand that, you're going to lose your way and wander off the path of ethical things to do and listening. And we don't respect wisdom anymore, seemingly. You know, people just sort of wander off the trail, and I know best because that's what somebody said on the podcast or that.
Exactly.
But you know, the truth of the matter is research it. Find out for
Yes.
yourself. You don't, well, Eddie Harbison don't do this, and Gloria don't do that, and Tyler don't do that. But you find out from somebody else, but they will never ask.
No.
They will just take the word of somebody else and run with it.
Right, and
that's
that's
just unethical
popular.
to
And
your own soul.
Sure it
really
is. I mean, and it speaks to a lack of character, wisdom,
That's right.
knowledge, and understanding. Even the big book that's been
That's right.
around long before me and you, it says
Amen.
study. You need to study.
That's right.
For yourself.
That's right.
You
That's
know,
right.
study to
Check it
show
out.
myself.
Fact
Yeah,
check.
you're right.
Fact
So
check.
that was why, you know, I was like, okay, no, the senator is not in Macon.
That's right.
The congressman, Bishop, is in Macon.
That's right.
But the senator is in Macon County, Georgia,
That's exactly
which are
right.
two different
That's
places.
right. Montezuma.
Right, Montezuma, which is like going over there where they have the fair
That's
every
right,
year.
that's right.
And so that's why it's so important with, and you've always been this way. Even when people would call in the radio show, and of course it was a live show. We had it for 2 hours at one time before, you know, things, you know, kind of got mixed up there. But even when the people disagreed, you were always respectful.
Absolutely.
Even if they had a difference of opinion.
Sure.
What I think we've lost in broadcasting, and whether it's radio or TV, just because podcasts, social media, all of whatever the platform is, just because people disagree with you, you don't have to be disagreeable, and that will
That's
not
right.
necessarily make them
right.
your adversary.
That's right. That's right.
That's why you might like Frosted Flakes and I might like Raisin Bran.
That's right.
It's not a either or. You know, we just have a different perspective.
Amen.
And
That's
that
right.
doesn't mean we have to try to kill each other.
That's right.
So that's the difference between
right.
from when you were the news anchor here.
That's right.
And then some of the news is not really news.
That's right.
It's opinions.
It is, and you don't always have to tell the bad end of things anyway. You know, a lot of people, they give me the dirt, bring the bad news, tell the bad news, and I got your journalism, that kind of thing. And I think in the end of things, it takes us all down a rabbit hole.
It does.
Of negativity. It really does.
It really does.
And you have a hard time crawling out of that, and just think about where we are now.
Exactly.
You know, just always, look, and somebody's doing that, and go to the negative part first, ignoring the good things that Jesus Christ promised us, and living up to that, and looking toward that, and facing, and always keep the sun to your face, regard, even if it's dark. Imagine it's there, and it will ultimately come back. I am always eternally grateful for God, my friends, my godly friends, and the people who are not always right, but they're good people, and
Exactly.
their salvation.
Even if we don't agree.
You don't have to
Because you
agree,
really
right.
coach me. You say, now, you know that's not right. I want you to do better. And I was like, I don't care, because that's not right. And you're like, no.
Well, you're a fighter, girl. You're a
You're like,
fighter.
no, I just want you to not do that. And so sometimes I take good counsel and sometimes I don't, but you're going to continue
That's
to pray
just
for
human.
me.
That's human.
Exactly.
That's
So
just
what we're going to
human.
do is go to our break to our sponsors, and we'll be right back. We'll be right back after a word from some of our sponsors.
Even at lower speeds, a crash between a bicyclist and motor vehicle can cause broken bones and traumatic brain injuries. Busy intersections are particularly dangerous for cyclists. Wear a helmet, stop at red lights, use hand signals, yield to pedestrians. Bike safe, bike smart.
Paid for with grant funds from the Governor's Office of Highway Safety.
New Horizons Behavioral Health, building better lives in the Chattahoochee Valley, providing services to persons with mental illness, developmental disabilities, and addictive diseases. Located in the Health and Human Services Building, 2100 Comer Avenue, Columbus, or call 706-596-5500. Barbara's Cleaning Service, a 5-star commercial service with satisfied customers in Georgia and South Carolina, built on the principle that every detail matters. Barbara's Cleaning Service, a new season building a family legacy. Charmaine Crabb, Associate Broker of Champions Realty. Charmaine's greatest reward is helping families achieve home ownership, which is a cornerstone of the American dream. Call Charmaine today at 706-392-6116 or visit championsrealty.com. And welcome back to Straightforward. I am visiting with my awesome mentor and friend and radio and television State Senator Ed Harbison. Senator, you could, when you go to whatever the next thing will be next year in 2027, I know in your book, Butter from a Duck, you did get a copy for me to send to our amazing Quincy in Los Angeles.
He's going to make a movie about my book, right?
We don't know what he's going to do yet. He has so many projects, but next year when you move to a different place in life, then when he's coming around, then you'll have more flexibility,
That's right.
to
That's
see
right.
him.
Absolutely.
Of course, he's always happy to see you as well. But you wanted him to have that book because he was speaking about
and
Mrs.
he brought
Starr
it up. Yeah.
from the pulpit when we were having her homegoing. And she said she would get butter from a duck.
That's
and he was
right.
like, that's the name of the book. But that book was inspired by your mom and your grandmother.
Right,
Okay.
right, my grandmother. And my football coach.
Okay, and
They
what was
both.
his, and that's over in Montgomery.
That was in Montgomery. My grandmother, Annabelle Minder, she would say it often, and she would back it up too. And my coach, Arthur Buddy Davis, we call him the Bear, he played for the Chicago Bears, and he had a high level of understanding that he wanted you to accomplish and to be the best you could be. And he would use that terminology. Say, look, you got to show them how to get butter from a duck, Ed, whomever in the team. He would just really be animated and a high disciplined kind of guy.
Okay, and so that discipline, you were able to transfer that to the Marine Corps.
Absolutely. Marines did the same thing. They didn't use that word exactly,
Right, but
that terminology.
it was the
That's
same
what
thing.
it meant, right? Exactly. You understood that.
And so
right.
that Marine Corps experience, when you left Alabama, where was the first place that you went?
When I left Alabama, we left, I was sworn in Birmingham, Alabama.
Okay.
Ultimately flown to Savannah, Georgia, and took a bus from Savannah to Parris Island, South Carolina.
Okay.
And that's where the terror began.
That's where your training began.
I'm sorry, training.
But I just want the other veterans to know that you're a real veteran. You served your time. You were not a photographer or journalist at that time.
Unfortunately.
You were truly boots on the ground.
Right. Right.
You were in the thick of things.
Yeah.
But that all helped develop the character.
Yeah, and I'm just so honored. A lot of times I get asked to speak to a lot of veteran groups around the state. Yesterday.
Oh, you received an award too from
yes,
a veterans group.
From a bunch of them, and I'm just really awed by it. And this is the Atlanta area Vietnam veterans. They inducted me into their group, and now I'm a part of that group.
I didn't
but
know
everywhere
that.
they go, they make you a part. They're so humble, and because they understand that we as veterans don't want any veteran ever to be treated like the Vietnam veterans were treated. We will not allow it. We won't tolerate it. So we make sure we say thank you for your service, and we show them, not just tell them, but we show them that we appreciate it and the sacrifices of
Yeah,
our
because
family.
that was different.
It was
Because
different,
when you
yeah.
all came from Vietnam,
Took
there
off
was
a uniform.
Yeah, it
that
was
kind of
no
stuff.
parade.
That's right, no
It was
parades,
none of
right.
that.
You just sort of silently went back into the
Into
community.
your life,
Right.
and that's a thing that we see some veterans suffer
Yes.
with the PTSD.
Absolutely.
We do have Veterans Court here
Yes.
and across the state,
Right.
which you were a part of making sure we had those accountability
Right,
courts. And that helps them that in case they run into an issue
That's right.
with the criminal justice system, then that can be identified, and that helps them to get the treatment that they need, get their lives back on track,
That's
and then
right.
back into the
That's right.
community. And that's really important.
It's very
because
important.
PTSD is real. And I always like to tell people about how a lot of the homeless veterans would wait for you outside the post office on 2nd Avenue.
Yeah.
That's not something that I made up, that is a fact.
Yeah.
And they would wait for you to come out. You go to the mailbox there and they want to chat with you.
Absolutely.
And you want to buy them breakfast. Bless your heart, you want to put them in a hotel. They don't want to go to the hotel.
No,
they just want to stay
they
out
don't
there
want
on the
that.
street.
They
No,
don't want that. Right.
but those were things that you did outside of the camera. And that's what you always taught me. You would say, baby, we don't need to put everything out here
No,
on
I don't
social
believe in
media.
that. You know, I
we
don't
don't,
believe in
because
that.
if we're doing that, we're not doing it for the right reason.
You know, you and Eddie Lee, you get at me
Me
about
and
it.
the Sergeant Major, rest his soul, Eddie Lee, he would say, Samson, you just got to tell him. You just got to tell him.
You got to let them know,
You
Ed.
got to let him know now. And you would say, no, everything we do, we don't have to tell the public we're doing it because we're doing it for the right
Absolutely,
reasons. And
right,
we're taking
right,
care of the veterans. We're taking care of their families the best that we can. And that's really what it's all
That's
about.
right. That's right.
And then your commitment to Fort Benning.
Yes.
We want to make sure we're taking care of those soldiers and their children.
That's right.
So you put something in place for that.
That's right.
To make sure their records, they're not penalized.
That's right.
Right.
Even if they don't have the records with them, they will accept statewide, as a matter of fact. And what if the person comes from Massachusetts and they come here and they got children, the records are not with them, they've got their family there, so they'll say, I'm in the 10th grade. Well, we'll accept that in the state of Georgia
Just their word.
until the record,
catches up.
That's right.
Because we don't want to penalize
That's
the child
exactly right.
because the sponsor got moved.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
And then if we have widows of veterans,
That's right.
there are benefits
That's
that
right.
that are there for them also.
That's right.
And they can go to the website, look
That's right.
those up, or they can.
Oh, it's many ones. We pass dozens there every year.
Right.
And really, the license plates, the driver's license, and all those things. I mean, those things, the fishing license, and all those things. Recreational. This year we passed one saying if you go to a national park in Georgia, you get a cut rate or a discount, or you get in free.
Well, I want to thank you for always supporting me, whether I make good choices or bad choices. If I need correction, you're going to do that. If I need cheering on, you're going to do that too. Just know we appreciate you, your humble service, your attitude, your spirit, and you walk in the light in a Christian spirit. And I'm going to aspire to be more like you. I'm working on it.
We're going to be godly.
Okay, I'm working on that. Well, I thank you so much for taking
Thank you.
time to do this visit, and
Thank
we
you.
will certainly do this again when you go to the next adventure.
Thank you very kind.
All right.
Yeah.
This has been straightforward. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Until next time, be blessed.
What up, world? What's up, Columbus? Be sure to tune in every Sunday, Straightforward with Gloria Strode, right here on NBC 38.